So, guys, I guess I don't have mail IDs for everyone, and I don't know whether each and every one of you are part of that WhatsApp group on which I am communicating. So, if somebody is missing out of all the communications on the mail regarding the Teams link and everything, please drop your mail ID onto the WhatsApp group so that I can send you the invite again, so that you can put it as a part of your calendar and you can go ahead with the calendar invites and everything. Okay, so somebody is messaging me. Okay, fine. So today's agenda for the classes will be studying what entity constraints are. In last class we studied what is DML and what is data definition language, what is data manipulation language. There is one part that I was missing last time, that I couldn't explain you last time, that how to insert a single record in the table in a single column when you have a table already created. So on that front, you need to understand what these entity constraints are. Only then I'll be able to explain you that part. So first of all, what entity constraints are? First of all, what are entities? So entities are something which are columns. Simple thing in a layman terms, in a basic language, the columns in a table are the entities for that particular table. Clear? Nothing hi-fi, nothing big to remember. The column names are the entities, and the constraints or the restrictions or whatever rules that we apply on those columns are called as entity constraints. The rules that are applied on a column are called entity constraints, or rules that are applied on an entity in a table in of a database are called entity constraints. So entity constraints go like this. I'll show you. So we have different keys. So different keys and different constraints. One is a unique key, primary key, foreign key. We have null constraint. Let me just open up my workbook. Let me share my screen. Yeah. So, okay. Entity constraints. So, इसको थोड़ा zoom कर लेते हैं. Let me close this. Leave it. So, let's zoom in. So, we are dealing with entity. I am opening up an Excel sheet because we are dealing with rows and columns, so it's better to understand through an Excel sheet. So we already had a table created last time, which was an employee table. So first of all, whenever we start a database, whenever we open our SQL interpreter, we have to enter into a database like I had informed yesterday. So my database name is trainings. You can see it over here on the left hand side panel, which is highlighted in blue. So when I do use training 2, select it and run it, I have entered into my database. Now let's see what my employee table has. So my employee table has all these columns, which is employee ID, employee name. So let me just jot it down over here. Employee ID, employee name. We have address, we have designation, we have department number, and we have salary. So the salary column is empty as of now, because we had altered the table and entered a column called salary into this table as mentioned in the last class. So the recording of the last class, I was late in posting the recording. It's already on the Google Drive. You can go ahead and check it out. So the salary column was something that I was telling you we added last time by altering the table using the alter command, which is the data manipulation command. So it was pending to add values in this table. Why? Now we have different keys, as I am telling you. So the keys are like unique key, we have primary key, we have foreign key, we have null constraint, we have not null constraint. So as the names suggest, it is very much easy to remember, to learn, to understand these things. Unique is something which is not repetitive, so it means there are no duplicates. Primary key, it is unique and not null. So it has two properties. One is it cannot have any duplicate values, and it cannot be null. What does null mean? Null means that it cannot be empty, it cannot be blank, it cannot be having null or zero values in it. Understand? So it should definitely have a value in it. That's what the null constraint means. The not null constraint means it should definitely have a value. So that's what the primary key is. We have already discussed primary key once, but we would be discussing it all over again and again. So foreign key, it can definitely have null values. It can have empty values. You can have an empty column which is a foreign key. I'll tell you how to define these keys. I'll explain you how these keys are created and how these keys are defined. I'll explain you step by step. Just bear with me for some time. I know it might be over the head that Avan, what are you explaining? It's not clear to us. Just let me explain you things. So foreign key is something, it can have null values, and this key or this column, this key is nothing, it's the column, or this column refers to primary key of another column. Like we discussed the other day, that what is a primary key, how primary key works out. So this is how a primary key and foreign key, this is the major difference. Null constraint is something when we define a column that which is neither a primary key, which is neither a unique, which is neither a foreign key, but we want that it can contain null value. So we define as null. Not null is no null values. Now when we see our table, so we see over here, when we describe our table, so you see that employee ID over here, it's mentioned, the keys are mentioned over here, it says pri. When it says null, it says no, it cannot take any null values. Understand? So primary key is something which is unique and it cannot take null values. Now select star from employee. I'll be explaining you this thing with an example only, so that it becomes much more clear, much more embedded whenever you are thinking of what a primary key is. So over here you see that employee ID is a primary key. Now let's say I want to enter another value in the table. Let's say with employee ID 5 only. Let's try that out. So insert into emp values. Let's say I'm adding employee ID 5, then I'm adding the name, let's say funny. Please don't take it otherwise if my spellings go wrong, because I'm typing quite fast, so that might make you who is in the session, who entered the session. Okay, fine. Some welcome, whosoever has joined the class, welcome. So we are entering a new value in our table, funny. So designation, let's say senior manager, and let's say we have a department, he is working in, let's say, department number 6, and his salary is like 20 lakhs. Fine, let's try and insert this value. So insert into emp values. Some error I have made. So column count does not match the value count at row 1. Column count? What happened? Execute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many values? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I missed something. Address. So address is, let's say, Hyderabad. Comma. Fine, this is how we insert the values. So now what is the, see over here, this is what I wanted to show you. So let's read the error carefully, very carefully. See, when I'm entering the value, I'm taking the employee ID as 5. It says that duplicate entry 5 for key emp.primary. That's the error, because a primary key cannot have a duplicate value. Understand? Fine. So that's what the error is. And fine. So that's how things go around when it is a primary key. One is it cannot have duplicate values. Now let's try it out entering another value where the employee ID is empty. Let's say I'm putting a space. So when I'm running this, it will throw me an error saying that there's a syntax error. Let's say I put a null over here. Fine, a blank value. So this says that column emp ID cannot be null. Is it clear what primary key is? See, you guys need to respond on these things, because I won't understand whether what I have explained you is clear or not. Is it clear what primary key is? There are 2 points. One is you cannot have a duplicate value. So I'll explain you again. This is the only agenda for today. So we are dealing with keys only today. So over here we have employee ID 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say I am entering a value, say 5, with employee ID. I'm entering name as Funny. The address is Hyderabad. Designation is senior manager. He is working in department number 6 and his salary is 20 lakhs. I'm trying to insert this value again. So the error over here, just try to read this error. It says that duplicate entry 5 for key emp.primary. Employee table has a primary key and I am entering a duplicate value into it, and primary key doesn't allow it. So that's why this won't be allowed to be a part of the table. Now let's say I am entering a null value into the table. Now it says that column emp ID cannot be null because it's the primary key. So those are the two major properties of primary key. First is it is unique. Second is it is not null. Just by heart this thing, remember this thing, by hook or by crook. These are the two major things when you are dealing with a primary key. Now let's say I enter a new value into the table. So let's say we enter Funny and he is working in department number 6, sorry, as an employee ID 6 and working in department number 6. Over here it says that duplicate entry 6 for, okay, we have another element as 6, is it so? Yeah, we already have 6. Let's say I give him employee 7. Fine. Now this will work. For sure this will work. See, the value got entered, one row affected, which means one row has been added. We'll check it out again. Select star from emp. When I run this, there would be an entry of Funny, employee ID 7, Hyderabad, senior manager 6, and salary. Now you would be wondering, when we were entering a single value over here, when we were entering a single value for salary over here, it was not picking up. Why? Can anybody explain me now? That, sorry, I copied it. That's because I'm using Windows at night and Mac in the morning. So why this string, why this insert statement won't work? I'm just adding the salary value to it. Why this thing won't work? Anybody has any solution, any answer to it?
So when I think whether the salary value what we're entering, it's not projecting to any primary key in the employee table.
Very much correct. So the point is, if I'll run this thing, let's say I run this thing. So it says that emp ID doesn't have a default value. Understand? That's my point is because if a table doesn't have a primary key, like Funny said, the salary is not linked to any of the employee. And when I'm entering a salary value, it should be associated to the primary key in the table. Understand? So how do we do this thing? Let's say I need to enter 1000 where emp id is equal to 1. Let's say emp id is equal to 2. So manually it cannot be entered like this. Whenever there is a primary key constraint, you cannot enter a value unless until the primary key unless until you associate that value to the primary key. So what we will do is I'll drop the column alter table, or let's try it out. Let's try it out one another thing. How to enter a value in a newly created column in a database table where we have a primary key as well. So okay, uh, now this is something where we so okay, how do we add a primary key? So when we created our first table, where is my table? Yeah, so when we create a table over here, you can see I have mentioned primary key over here. Fine. Similarly, let's say I want to define it as a unique key. So I'll define it as unique. Let's say I want to define it as a null constraint. So I'll define it as null. Let's say I want to define it as a not null constraint. So I'll define it as not null. We'll create another table as well. I have to create a department table also because we already have a department number in this table. So we'll create a department table as well. Now, so as you see that we cannot enter a salary value into the table unless until we have it associated with a primary key. So let's try out one more thing. Let's say insert into M salary column values 1 comma 1 2 3 4. Let's say if this works out.
Even it's EMP.
Okay. Again, the count doesn't match. So yes, it once you have a primary key constraint, you can't enter any other new value. So let's and so that concept, that thing is clear now. Why we cannot enter the value of salary into it, but when we are adding a new row, we can enter a new value. Let's add another value to the table. Let's say 8. Let's say we have Vinay. Let other things be same. He is working in department 7. He's earning 10 lakhs whatsoever. I wish you guys earn more and more. So now select star from emp. We'll have another row added to the table with Vinay working with employee ID 8. So is the concept, do two major concepts of primary key clear now? That it is unique and not null. I take it as yes only. So Let's create another table which is a department table. Fine. So we are creating another table called department table now. Just have a look at this thing. Employee table has a column called department number, but where are the details of the department number? We have no understanding or no clarity about what is department number 1 or what is department number 7. Is it an HR department? Is it an IT department? Is it admin department? What department is it? So we are creating another table which is a department table. So this is how we create a table, right? We mention the column name, its data type, and the key. So I am creating department number as a primary key. Understand my point. Now, very much clearly understand this point because we are moving to the concept of foreign key. Let's create this table. We select the query and we execute it. So my table has been created. Let's insert values into the table. So these things I'm not repeating again and again, guys. I hope these things are clear to you because I have already explained you. So I'm entering these values, but I have 8 columns. So let's say I enter these values only. Fine. So select star from department. Now I have these departments in my table. Fine. I have another departments that have come up which are 7, 8, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I can any day enter values into the department table like this only. So what we need to do is, so I have department 5. Let's say it is A. I have department 6. Let's say it is B. I have department 7. Let's say it is C. I have department 8. Let's say it is D. Now some of you might be wondering that every time we have to do the same process to enter the values manually, we are entering the values. No, there are other ways also. Generally in the industry you are not supposed to, not required to enter values manually. It's a huge task. You have millions of records over here. We are just practicing, we are checking out things. That's why we are entering the values manually. But the databases for you are already created. The repository is already created. You have to just analyze the data. You have to just run your data definition DDL or DML queries and extract the data from there. That's the only task that you guys have when you are working in the industry. Now, so we have department number added, department name added, but how would I know from my employees table that in which department Uday is working, in which department Avan, Funny or Vinay is working? I just have the department numbers over here. From this table I cannot identify that which department these guys are working into, right? So I have to link both of these tables to get a final result, right? Unless until there is no link between two tables, I cannot get a result directly without seeing both the tables simultaneously. Now, let's say I see that employee ID 3 is working in department 2. I'll go to my department table and check what is department 2 IT. So now department is IT, now 2 is IT. Now again I'll go back and see, okay, 2 department number. Okay, funny Rushmita, she is in department number 2. So employee 3 is working in department number 2. Employee 5 is working in department number 2. You'll forget. Okay, now you'll have to go back again to department, check out what department number 2 is. So for that, we have foreign key constraints through which we connect two tables, through which we link two tables. How to define a foreign key constraint? We alter a table. To add a constraint, we alter a table. While creating a table, also we can mention a foreign key constraint in a similar manner. So what do we do now? What does the definition of foreign key say? The definition of foreign key is that it refers to the primary key of another table. What it is? Now, I have employee ID as my primary key. PK is primary key. Fine. Now I have another table which is department table. It has two columns, department number and department name. Right. This is the primary key for the department table. Now, if I want to link my employee table, my this table with my department table, I need a foreign key. Foreign key का definition says that it refers to the primary key of another table, right? So this is my primary key, so this should be the foreign key, because this would refer to the primary key of this table from which we are extracting the information of department name. Understand again. So my employee table, this is my employee table. I have no information of department name over here. I just have the department number over it. Every time to reach out to department name, I will have to run the select query on department to check out what is the department number and what is the department name, and then go back to employee table and manually see that department number 2 is IT. Then I conclude that Rushmita's working in Hyderabad as an analyst is working in IT department for so and so company. That is not a feasible way. Every time going back and forth, imagine you have millions of rows. You have 10 millions or 10 million rows in your data. Will you be toggling back between the two tables to find out? No. Now, for this table, for this employee table, for this column where my cursor is moving, I need to get the department name information, correct? To get that department name information, I need to reach out to the department table. I have to reach out to the primary key of the department table. So I will have to make this column as the foreign key, which is referencing to the primary key, which is department number of the department table. So this will become my foreign key. This is referencing the primary key of department number table. How do we do that? I guess the main concept is clear of foreign key, that what is referencing to what, which is connecting to what. So how do we add a foreign key constraint? So we alter the table employee. We have already studied what an alter command is. So we alter the table employee. We are adding a constraint. So we add a constraint. Let me tell you what's the syntax for it. So it is alter table. You give table name. Again, don't get confused. SQL or SQL is completely case insensitive. You write in any case, no matter, there is no problem, SQL will accept it. It is very much user friendly. It will pick up anything, whatever you'll give in any case. So add constraint, you give the key name. We provide the foreign key name. It could be anything. You can give it anything. You can give it department number underscore foreign key. Only thing is it should be identifiable. That's it. Now, foreign key, we give a keyword now. We have given it a name. Over here, we are adding a constraint XYZ. Table के अंदर we add a constraint X. What that constraint is? It is a foreign key. We define that this name that I have given is a foreign key. Which column, which entity I am declaring it as a foreign key, will provide the column name references. This is again a keyword. Let me just capitalize the keywords for you. So the capital ones remain the same always. There is no change in that. So you don't feel that it's a waste of time, because this is what you will be doing throughout when you are working on SQL. Throughout your career, if you are working on SQL, these foreign keys, joins and everything you are doing daily on daily basis. So references. Now, to which table it is referencing, table name, and the column of that table to which it is referencing to. So this column is always the primary key of the table. So this is the syntax, guys. This is how we write a syntax for creating or for adding a constraint. I'll tell you how to add a constraint directly while creating a table, because at times we know that okay, this is the table, this is this thing on paper, we jot that down like we are doing over here. So we know that I have this department number over here and I would be requiring the department information as well. So that should be the primary key to the department table, foreign key to the department table. So we can define the foreign key constraint while creating the department table as well. I'll show you how to do that. So over here, alter table employee, we are adding constraint. I have defined it as foreign key, let's say foreign key underscore department number, whatever you want to do. You mention that what kind of constraint it is, on which column you are applying that constraint, column of the employee table, of the table on which you are altering. So this is the column which you want to make the foreign key. Now you are referencing to the second table to which it should refer to, it should connect to. So we are referring to department table, to which column? The department number column. Now let's run this. Fine. Now let's describe our table. Describe department. You should see a foreign key over here. Sorry, describe employee. We created foreign key in employee, guys. So we should see a foreign key over here. See, department number, it shows multiple values. That shows it's a primary, it's a foreign key. Over here it shows MUL because it is SQL, it is MySQL. When you are doing, when you are working on SSMS or Microsoft SQL Server, you will see FK, small FK written over here. Instead of PRI, it would be PK written over there. Those are different notations that they have, but the meaning is the same. Now, department number, we have a foreign key over here. Fine. How to use this foreign key? So select star from emp and select star from department. Let's run these. Now the employee table is giving me this information. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 department numbers. Department 2, department table, I have these values. Let's say I want to find out, I'm so sorry. So let's say I want to find out, the task is find the department name where employee funny with employee ID 7 is working. Fine. Let's try this thing out. Again, sorry with my spellings. So first we have to check out employee table. Select star from employee. Okay. Now in employees table, I know funny has an employee ID 7. I have checked that out. Now I want to link it to the department table. How to do that? So department number is the foreign key on which we will link these two tables. How we do that? We give every table an alias, a short form, a small nickname. Let's say I give this as a nickname E. Now I want to get the exact information. I'm just telling you a brief on this thing, how foreign key works. These are, we are entering into joins over here. Don't get confused. I'm just telling you what a foreign key is, how we use a foreign key. Just understand what it is doing. Don't get into the code, otherwise you will get confused. I'll explain you what I'm writing later on, tomorrow or day after, whenever we'll reach to joins. We'll discuss this thing in depth. Now I'm joining this table to department table. Fine. I give it a nickname as on d dot department number is equal to e dot department number, where emp id is equal to 7. So let's see what it gives me. So what did it give me? It says Funny with employee ID 7 is working in department number 6 and the department name is B. Magical. So you have joined both the tables. These last two columns that you are getting are from the department table. So that's the beauty of foreign key. That's how foreign key helps you out in connecting things. Now, how do we define a foreign key while creating a table? So let's go to W3 schools. See, till date, I use Google for anything where I get stuck. So there is nothing to feel bad about. Even if your employer asks you something and you are Googling it, not a problem. Every senior manager, junior manager, analyst, they use Google because it's a nice thing that Google has provided us. So why not make a use of it? So how do we create a foreign key? So let me just drop the table. So now we are dropping the table. This is what was left in the previous section. I guess I didn't tell you how to drop it. So let's understand drop command. It is a DML. Sorry, it is a DDL command. I think so. It's DDL only. Let me just check it out. Yeah, it's a DDL command, data definition language. So let's say I'm deleting the entire table. Let's say this thing, what it is, department. So simple thing, just simple English. Drop table name. Drop table department. Right? Let me execute this. Over here it says cannot drop department referenced by a foreign key constraint on the table emp. So my department table, the department number is linked to my foreign key in the employee table. So SQL is so smart, it gives you a warning that if you are deleting a table, it will tell you can't delete this table because there is a foreign key linked to that to the table in the another table. So if you will delete this table, your entire information would be gone and you can't retrieve that information. Understand? So that is the beauty of SQL. You can't go wrong at any place. You'll have the errors are so much friendly, so much easy to understand that they tell you that you are making this mistake. Understand? So let's say I'll tell you how to drop a column. This is a syntax for dropping a table. Understand? Now, how to drop a column. Let's say drop alter table emp drop column salary. So my salary column is gone. Let's check it out. Select star from emp. So all these people, funny, me, everyone is unemployed. We don't have a salary now. We are just a part of a company. So we have dropped the salary column from this table. So what is the syntax? So drop table name. This will delete the table entirely from the database. Let's say auditor table name drop column name. This will delete only a column from the table. So these are the syntaxes for drop. Now we were let's say we create another table. I want to explain you how do we add entity constraint. Let's say we create another employee table. It's just for the sake of understanding, we can create another table. Let's say how to define foreign key directly over here. So I'm creating employee underscore temp. I'm giving it a new name. Now, so this is where I have defined my primary key. Let's say how do we define the foreign key? For foreign key, what you need to do is you need to mention foreign key just like we did it over here. Yeah. No, yeah. So you have to mention for this part. This entire part remains the same. That's it. Nothing else. Foreign key, column name, references, दूसरा table name, second table name, and the column of that table. So foreign key, which column has a foreign key? Department number. It is referencing to which table? Department table. And which column? Department number. So this will create a foreign key in my emp table. Okay, this SQL version doesn't support this thing. Okay, this doesn't support this thing. And then what to do? Oh, sorry. Here's an error. I have to add a comma over here. See, this is the error. It mentions that you have a syntax error. So syntax error is after every insert, after every column value that after every column that I'm defining, I have to put a comma, except the last one. So let's run this. Definitely run hoga yaar. Don't worry, I am sure about this thing. So it's green, it's run. Let's describe it and check out what are the new things that have been added. Emp underscore table, emp underscore temp. Let's check this thing out. Bhai. Yeah. Okay. So over here, see, department number has been added as a foreign key. The concept is same, everything remains the same, only you add an alter command to it when you are adding it explicitly. So when you are adding it explicitly, you define a name. This part remains the same. This entire part over here, if you talk in syntax, this part remains the same while you are adding the foreign key directly into the table while creating the table. So guys, foreign key, primary key concept is clear. I'll take it as no. I'll take it as yes, that it is clear. Now let's say unique. Now, let's say I want to make sure that I can have null values in my designation column. Fine. So what I can do is, while defining the table, let's say I drop this table. Drop table emp underscore 10. So my table is gone. If you can see, you can check it over here. I have just employee table. Where's my department table? Select star from department. So I have to refresh this one. See, I have only two tables over here. If I'll check out emp underscore temp, it will say that the database does not exist. This table does not exist in the database. Now, let's say I'll explain you what a unique key is. So let's say I'm creating a unique key. Let's say I define this as unique. Fine. I define this as unique. I define employee name as not null. and I define address as null. I'm explaining you all the things over here only so that it becomes quite clear to you. So when I'm running this thing, my table is created, describe emp underscore temp. Now, so designation is unique, department number is a primary key, employee ID is a department number is a foreign key, employee ID is a primary key. Now, employee name not null. So employee name not null. So that's why null के अंदर यहाँ पर it shows no, it cannot take null values. This says null, whether it can take null value or not take null value. Address can take null value. That is why it is yes. Now let's try entering values into it. I don't want to write all this over and over again, so I am picking up this only from here. We have already worked it out. Just the name changes. So now let's say employee name is not null. Let's say I leave it as null. Let's say I leave Avan as null. Fine. Just understand, just have a look at it. Now designation is unique. So unique means it cannot be repeated, right? It cannot be repeated. So I have manager, I have a data analyst, I have an analyst, I have analyst, I have analyst. So I have multiple analysts. So this query should give me an error because my unique constraint is not satisfied. My employee name is not null, so I have added a null over here. This should give me an error. Let's see what errors does it give. So see, the error says that okay, तो मेरी बेवकूफ़ी है. Fine. So the error says that column emp name cannot be null, right? So this cannot be null. Let's rectify this thing. Now it will throw me a second error on the unique constraint. What does it say? Duplicate entry analyst for the key underscore for the key employee temp dot designation. So this is the table name emp underscore temp and dot column name. So it shows designation cannot have duplicate values because it is unique, right? So let's check out another point. Address ka part, it can take null values, so that is okay. So address we cannot, it can by default it can take null value, so that is not a problem. So let's try and add a null value in the address. Let's say I don't define Abhishek's address. Let's say it is null, right? Let's try this thing out, and I have to edit these things as well. I have an analyst, I have another analyst. Let's say it is ML analyst, machine learning analyst. This will create the records. Is it clear? So see, we have records added into the table. We have null value for the address. It picks up null value, but other values didn't pick up because analyst those were same because designation is unique. It means no duplicate values can have null value, cannot have null value, refers or connects to department number in department table. This is unique and not null. Unique / no duplicates and not null. Is it clear? Today's session on entity constraints, is it clear? If you want, I can repeat this again in tomorrow's class.